Alright, 2016 Ford Escape 2-liter engine. I've already done the front brakes, so now we're going to do the rear. Again, I'm going to check our fluid. And since I put the pads on the front, the brake fluid has came up a little bit, so I may take a little bit of that out so that when I push the pistons on the rear, the fluid is going to rise. So I'm just going to take a little bit out. And yes, my next job is I need to change this here brake fluid and flush it out. Alright, I am on the left rear. And we have this anti-rattle clip spring here. So the first thing we'll do is take this out. So I'm going to just take a screwdriver, see if we can wedge this thing out of there. So we got that one out, lift it up, and then we're just going to slide it right out. Okay, the next thing we got this here dust cover. There's two of them. One is here, one is down on the bottom there. You'll see it'll look just like this one. This will be a dust cover for the caliper slide pins. I'm just going to take my two thumbs with the fingernails and just kind of just lift it right out of there. And I'm going to do the same thing for down on the bottom. And there's the other one. Now, one of the observations I see right now is the caliper is not moving side to side, so that's telling me that these here caliper slide pins doesn't have really any grease in them, and I'm suspecting there's going to be uneven wear on these pads. Right where we took those dust caps off, there is a 7mm hex bit that I'm going to be using to break that loose. So we got one there, and then we got the one down here on the bottom. So I'm going to be screwing those out, and once I get them out, then I'll get you the next shot. Okay, so I have the bolts out. To make it slide out a little easier, I'm just going to take a screwdriver. I'm going to get behind it and just push it forward. And we're going to do the same thing down here on the bottom. And once we get them pushed out, then we can grab it over here on the side and we just pull them out. And that's what that's going to look like. The other one is the same thing, and we can see that they are pretty dry. Now, to give us a little room when we lift this caliper off, we're going to remove this here parking brake cable out of this grommet holder, and also this little bracket for the brake line. So I'm going to just spray it a little bit with some silicone spray for the grommet, soften it, loosen it, and also I'm just going to spray some lubricant penetrating fluid here on this bolt. Now this is a 8mm socket. Will take care of this here bolt. So let's just go ahead and take him on off. And once I get this bolt out, I'll catch you in the next shot. So let's take the bolt out. Now the bracket is free. Now this grommet down here, we're just going to pull it straight back. So now he's out. And now let's go ahead and lift the caliper assembly up. And we're just gonna kind of set them off to the side. Yeah, maybe right like that'll be fine. Well, these brake shoes are pretty worn. This is the outboard, and you can see right in there, it is actually worn right down to the metal. And then this one here is pretty thin also. Okay, now we have to screw this here piston in. So while you're putting pressure on it, you have to screw it in. And I'm just going to put a little bit of silicone paste. Just got to soften this up. It'll protect the rubber, you know, keep it soft over the years. Maybe make it a little easier when the piston goes in also. Okay, the piston that's on the driver's side, it looks like it's, you turn it clockwise to retract the piston, and now it's bottomed out. And by the way, over on the passenger side, it's the same exact thing. You turn it clockwise to push the piston in. Again, over here on the driver's side, you turn it clockwise to push the piston down. Okay, we got two bolts here. We're going to be taking off this caliper bracket. 13mm socket will take care of that. So we're going to loosen that one up. And we're going to come down here on the bottom, and we're going to loosen that one up. Okay, once I get these bolts out, I'll catch you in the next shot. Now once you get your 2 bolts out, then this here bracket will just lift right off. And there she be. Alright, so right now we're going to be removing the rotor. Yours might be rusted onto the hub like it was in my case. So I just sprayed a little bit of penetrant fluid here, and then come back in here where the backing plate is open, take the hammer, hit it, turn it, hit it. So it took about 3 or 4 hits and then it came off. So let's go ahead and remove the rotor. Alright, the part number I'm using for the rear, as you can see there's a part number. This is from Advanced Auto. Coil press on. And the brake pads that we're going to be using is this number here, and it includes the anti-rattle clips. Now when you get this particular rotor, it does have a little bit of packing grease on it, so you want to get some brake clean. You want to spray it down. And go ahead and wipe it on down. Clean it up. What do you think, Eric?
Nice.
To slow down the rust here on this hub, we're going to put a little bit of fluid film on there. Put a little bit on the sleeve of the hub here. Now we're going to slide our rotor on. And you can see that the rotor's a little bit loose here. So I'm going to just take a spacer I'm going to throw on there with the lug nut. And you can see that stabilizes it. Alright, so I got the caliper bracket. Now what you want to do is you want to clean this up. I just put it on the wire wheel, clean this, and you want to clean on the inside here, inside there, that surface, and this surface. And I am going to use a little bit of CRC, brake caliper lube here. You just want to put a little thin amount on those surfaces. This is where the caliper, the pads are going to be riding in. Doesn't take a lot, just a little bit of thin amount. Let's go over here on this side. Okay. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite just on a few threads here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screw the bolts in to the caliper bracket, screwing them in by hand. Okay, when we get ready to torque these up, I'll catch you in the next shot. Torque on these 2 caliper bolts is going to be 46 pounds per foot. That was the bottom one. Now let's do the top. Making sure the bottom is still there. Right, that's good. Okay, on the caliper slide pins where they're at, you see these here plastic boots. So I'm going to take a little bit of silicone paste, and I am going to put that in there because it is pretty dry. Let's get some more. And also I'm going to put a little bit on the other side here. Okay, and this is what I'm using. This is going to be lubricating up the caliper slide pins. Now be sure your caliper slide pins are clean. I've already cleaned them with brake fluid. So we're going to put a little bit of silicone paste on the pins, lube them up. Then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to slide them on in. And we'll go ahead and we'll stick him in there. Now don't push them all the way through, it's just kind of like have it flush. Alright, we're going back to our CRC lube. I'm on the inboard pad and I'm just putting a little bit on the back, thin amount. This is where the piston is going to be pushing at, so we're having metal to metal, so that should eliminate any kind of noise. And I'm going to put a little dab right here on the bottom. And just set him over to the side, and then we're going to set our pad right down in there. And we're going to do the same thing with our other pad. Put a little bit on the back, just a thin amount. And a little bit under there. And then that one is going to sit just like so. And now we can take our caliper and then we can sit him down. I'm going to slide this here grommet in place. Then we're going to just drop him right on down. Okay, I've got the 7mm hex bit, and I'm just screwing those caliper slide pins in by hand. I want to get a few threads started. Okay, on these 2 caliper slide pins, the torque on that is 21 pounds per foot. There's one. Going to the top. Okay, that is done. Now when you get through, your caliper should slide like that. You remember in the beginning it was frozen, so we're looking pretty good there now. First thing we want to do is we want to put it down here like that. We want this here to go inside that hole. Now we are going to try to get it in that hole and then pull this back, and then we push it in. And then to make sure that he is seated, we're going to take our screwdriver and we're going to tap right there where it goes into the hole. And that looks pretty good to me. We're taking our bolt for the brake hose, and we're just going to screw him back in. And that'll be an 8mm socket. Take care of that. And we've already got the parking brake grommet. It's already in its slot, so that's looking good. Alright, one last thing that I forgot to mention. Be sure to put your little plastic caps back over the caliper slide pins. Okay, now once you get this side done, you can go to the other side, do the same exact procedure. Now, as I mentioned, the caliper on this side screws in clockwise to go in, and it's exactly the same thing on the passenger side. You screw it clockwise for the piston to go in. And once you get that done, you can pump up your brakes, and then you can go ahead and put your wheels on, and the lug nuts for that will be 100 pounds per foot. And that's it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.